They eat what they're supposed to eat. There's water, there's good clean water. There's the beautiful California weather. And here they are. This is the way a life should be lived. What our cows are doing here is what is supposed to happen to 600 acres of pasture, which is for them to eat off of and then for them to drop things on. And that kind of regenerates the soil. And that's probably been going on since the plains in Serengeti in Africa. This is the way I think it was meant to be. Here, boys! So this is their daily lunch. This whole thing we call Dayton. The rails, the feeding trough.
All made from scraps by my two brothers in 1967.
And this is a more natural way of raising the animal. Have these cattle be fed nothing but what they're supposed to eat, which is grass on the ground, pasture, and hay that's planted and grown right here at our farm. Hi, I'm Ben, and we're at the Alhambra Valley Beef and Pears farm, a little bit outside of the town of Martinez. There's roughly 600 acres or so of mostly pasture, maybe about 25 to 30 acres of pear trees.
The farm was bought by my grandparents in 1906. My grandparents were self-sustaining, and they knew that they had to have diversity to survive. They had to have pigs, they had to have chickens. We're self-sustaining and growing our own hay and our own feed. And I think that we'd be self-sustaining of the water if it wasn't a drought year. My name is Pearl. I'm one of the owners of the farm. This is my oldest brother, Daryl, my middle brother, and myself. I don't know what, we must be painting something, but that's the three of us working together. My aunts had names for every cow. They'd walk around, they knew each one. We don't name them, and that's probably good. They have tags now. We know them by numbers. We just want to keep the farm going in the family, and I think it will, as people realize that if they're going to have beef, they'll want to have healthy beef. They'll want to have grass-fed beef.
Nothing has changed in the sense of raising the animals. The only changes have been, instead of taking them to auction, we now take them to an abattoir.
So once they're about 2 years old, we take 3 to be processed once a month. They go to Petaluma, and then they're dry aged about 7 days. From where they're processed, they're taken directly to the butcher, which is in Sonoma. Butcher then cuts them per our orders, and once it's frozen there, then they call us and we go and pick it up. It has been a struggle. We've gone through several butchers to get to where we are now. We've gone through different processing places also. The one in Petaluma is new, and he's the closest. Before, we were taking the animals to Modesto. The facility has to be a USDA facility, and there are very few and far between.
The idea of selling directly to consumers at the farmers market came about, I don't know, about 20 some years ago. I heard an interview of writer Michael Pollan, and he talked of how beef cattle is raised here in the United States, and that for the most part that they were feedlots, fed stuff that they're not supposed to eat. At the time we were selling our cattle to an auction about a couple hours away. Pearl's brothers they looked into live on the hoof to vacuum package for the consumer. And that took some months, maybe a couple of years, for that to come to fruition. Selling at the farmer's market was kind of an easy choice in that we have a very limited supply. It's a small farm, so to sell grocery stores or in these huge quantities does not work. It would only work really when you're dealing literally us and individual customers, families, rather than us dealing with a supermarket chain.
If we up the number of animals, we would suddenly damage our grasses because they would overfeed. We'd have problems with keeping it sustainable in the sense that you have to be careful because the grass doesn't grow that big. You don't want them to eating it so that's ground. That's not good when the rain comes. Yeah, you could have mudslides, you could have damage to the land. So we wouldn't even think about doing it.
I don't believe there's ever been any thought of growing the business the way others that are much bigger. They buy up a whole lot of animals and sell it under their brand. So I guess we're just kind of content to have a small farm.
People will ask us, do we have a storefront? You can come to the farm to buy, but there's no store. You can see it's way too small.
It's great that we have that local farmers market, that connection of being just literally 5 or 6 miles as the crow flies from here is where we sell our beef. You are meeting the farmer themselves in those booths. we do the ranching, farming, and then we actually do the selling at the farmer's market. Hi, this is Ben at the farmer's market. I mean, you probably might have seen me, but I'm also here with my boots dirty.
Say I'm acting crazy, but I just wanna lie in the sun.